Hello everyone, RaptorSpank here with another Stiff Brew where I build a deck around an unorthodox or fringe card. This deck is built around Purrsuit of Perfection, a 5 mana slow spell, and if you've played 20 cards with different names this game, you summon Catastrophe. Catastrophe is a 1 mana 30/30 with Overwhelm. So the basic idea of this deck is to cast a bunch of unique spells, and we have a number of ways to get to that number 20. But let's start by looking at the Champions package. Our first champion is 2 copies of Twisted Fate, a 4-cost 2/2 with Quick Attack. When you play Twisted Fate, you play a Destiny card. You get a choice between a spell that gives you 1 spell mana plus draws 1, or you can get another one that deals 1 to all enemies, including their nexus, or you can deal 2 to the strongest enemy and stun them. When he levels up once he's seen you draw 8 cards and becomes a 3/3, and then every round, the first 3 cards you play, he'll also cast a Destiny card, which goes the blue draw 1, then the red deal 1 to all, and then the yellow deal 2 and stun, in that order every time. His champion spell is pick a card, 3 mana burst spell. You shuffle one of the cards in your hand into your deck, and then the next turn you draw 3 fleeting. This helps the deck in the sense of drawing towards your Purrsuit of Perfection if you don't have it in hand. The big upside of Twisted Fate here is that he's essentially 2 cards for 1. The Destiny card does count towards Purrsuit of Perfection, so by playing Twisted Fate, you actually get 2 casts towards Pursuit, without having to commit any more deck space towards unique cards. Also, he just has a lot of potential utility. If you haven't found your Pursuit and you just need to draw through your deck, you can draw more cards. If the enemy has gone wide with a bunch of tokens, you can deal 1 to hopefully kill all of them. If you need to trigger Plunder, you can deal 1 to the enemy nexus, part of the red card, and trigger Plunder. And if they have one really big threat that you're having a hard time dealing with, you can always stun it and buy yourself another turn. And if he does ever level up, he'll cast 3 Destiny cards, so whichever one you haven't played yet, the next 2 will also count towards Pursuit. The next champion up is Heimerdinger, a 5-cost 1/3, and we have 3 copies of it. Whenever you cast a spell, he creates a fleeting turret in hand with a cost equal to the cost of the spell, and then that turret costs 0 this round. He levels up when he's seen you play 12 plus powers worth of turrets, and then he becomes a 2/4, and from then on, any turrets he creates will get +1/+1. This basically generates a massive number of unique cards, because now every spell you cast also generates a turret. So if you cast a 0-cost spell, you're going to get a 0-cost turret. 1-cost spell, you're going to get the 1-cost turret, and all of these turrets are unique, so every single individual one counts towards Pursuit. Obviously, multiples of the 1 cost or multiples of the 3 costs, etc. won't count towards Pursuit, but by casting a variety of different cost spells, you're going to get a bunch of different turrets, and each one of those will count towards Pursuit. So Heimerdinger is a great way to get those last 4 cards or so towards playing Pursuit of Perfection by simply casting a bunch of your spells like normal. And in addition to that, he's very good for board control, since he goes wide with turrets, and you can use all of these turrets to block and deal with your opponent's threats, while also being able to trigger Plunder sometimes by going wide enough to get around your opponent. Next, let's go into the card generation package. The idea of this package is a bunch of cards that generate more cards when they play them. In other words, instead of having 20 unique cards in the deck, we have cards like this that generate even more cards off themselves. That way we can have a deck that's consistent, but still hits the Pursuit condition. The first card in this package is 3 copies of Black Market Merchant, a 2-cost 2/2, and any enemy cards that are drawn cost 1 less, and Plunder, if you've triggered Plunder, he draws 1 from the enemy deck. This generates unique cards by pulling from your opponent's deck, and we have a number of other ways to do it as well, so the cheap cost on spells means we will often be able to pay off this part of Black Market Merchant very easily by drawing a ton of our opponent's spells and casting them for less than even our opponent will be able to do it. The next card is 3 copies of Coral Creatures, a 2-cost 1/2 with a tune, so it gives you 1 spell mana when you play it, and once you play Coral Creatures, it creates a random 1-cost spell from your regions. Basically, the idea here is it can hit Rummage, which is in the deck, but basically any other find is a unique card for you. So that means Coral Creatures counts as 2 casts, essentially, since it gives you a new spell that wouldn't be in your deck otherwise, and it keeps your card advantage up. And then, on top of that, it's a decent body for early blocks. It only has 2 health, but it buys you time. It's something to deal with really threatening creatures from your opponent that you can just chump block and buy yourself a little bit of time. The next card is arguably one of the best cards in the deck, which is 3 copies of Pilfered Goods, a 2-cost burst spell, and it draws 1 from the opponent's deck, and if you've triggered Plunder, it draws an additional 1 card. This basically gives you a crazy amount of card advantage, as well as a bunch of unique cards, since you're now drawing 2 cards pretty much every turn from your opponent's deck, or every time you cast this spell, you're drawing 2 cards from your opponent's deck, due to a number of ways to trigger Plunder. And those will almost always be cards that aren't in your deck, or just in general that you haven't found, etc. And it increases the number of cards in your hand, so you don't run out of cards when you're casting all these things to try and reach your pursuit. The next card is a single copy of Jaw Hunters, a 3-cost 4/1 with Challenger, and when you play it, it creates a random sea monster in hand. This sea monster is guaranteed to be a unique card that wouldn't otherwise be in your deck because we don't have any sea monsters in the deck. So no matter what, this will be 2 cards for the cost of 1, and that works towards your Purrsuit of Perfection. And it lets you build further board presence because now it's 2 creatures off of 1 card. And Jaw Hunter sort of functions as removal on a stick. If your opponent can't deal with it, it can kill anything with 4 toughness or less. And that's often what you'll end up using Jaw Hunters for if you do find it. The next card is 1 copy of Sleight of Hand, a 3-cost slow spell, and if you've triggered Plunder, it'll draw 1 from your opponent's hand. The downside is you have to trigger Plunder to cast this card, but it's just one of another way to pull a card from your opponent's deck or hand, which will be decreased cost from Black Market Merchant as well, and it basically just pulls a card out of your opponent's hand while also increasing your hand, so it makes your opponent have less options and you're going to have even more. It's really one-sided effect, but because of the fact that it requires Plunder and it's a slow spell, it's not the best spell, and why we only have 1 copy of it. The next card is 2 copies of Chumpwump, a 4-cost 4/3, and when you play it, it creates 2 Mushroom Clouds in hand. Now, this serves a number of purposes. First, we don't have any Mushroom Clouds in the deck, so that's immediately 2 cards towards Pursuit, off just 1 card in your deck. And it has a really strong body, so it can block and trade with a lot of different things, as well as just threaten your opponent early on. And Puff Caps from the Mushroom Clouds will actually trigger Plunder, so even the Mushroom Cloud synergizes the deck with really well by triggering things like Sleight of Hand, Pilfered Goods, Black Market Merchant. So just all of it combos with what our deck is trying to do. The next card is 2 copies of Yordle Grifter, a 4-cost 3/3, and when you play it, it creates a warning shot in hand, and then if you have Allegiance, so the next card on your deck would be Bilgewater, you'll draw 1 from your opponent's deck. Now, this often doesn't end up hitting Allegiance, since we're not an Allegiance-focused deck, but if it ever does, you just got 2 cards off of this 1 card, so that's 3 potential triggers towards Pursuit off of 1 single card. And even if all you get is the warning shot, it's a key way to trigger Plunder for our other cards. And the 3/3 body is pretty good for blocking as well. Finally, in the card generation package, we have 1 copy of Riptide Rex, an 8-cost 7/4, and when you play him, if you've triggered Plunder this turn, you cast Cannon Barrage 7 times, which will deal 2 damage to a random creature your opponent controls, and if that creature's no longer there, it'll do 1 damage to their Nexus. This is really great for triggering Plunder, again, but you all have already triggered it, but it's great for finishing off your opponent. It's great for clearing out their board. If there's things you can't deal with, it can potentially get them, because up to 7 copies of the spell will happen, which will be up to 14 damage. And since it casts Cannon Barrage, it's going to count towards your Purrsuit of Perfection. And it's basically a board wipe on a stick. That's the big idea of the card. So let's move on to the trigger package. The whole idea of this package is to trigger Plunder, to use our Black Market Merchant, our Pilfered Goods, our Sleight of Hands, our Riptide Rex, all of these cards that benefit from Plunder. So our first card is 1 copy of Crackshot Corsair, a 1-cost 1/1, and whenever allies attack, Crackshot Corsair deals 1 to the enemy Nexus. This is a really easy way to trigger Plunder. It's also a very aggressive 1-drop. You can start dealing damage to your opponent very quickly. You can use anything like a Coral Creatures to trigger its effect, so you don't even have to risk it, so it's not like a 1-turn thing. You can use other creatures to trigger this, and it'll set up all of your Plunder engine. The next card is one copy of Prowling Cutthroat, a 1-cost 1/1 with Fearsome and Elusive. This is a very, very simple card. It's just very hard for anyone to block this since most elusive units can't block Fearsome. So the combination of Fearsome and Elusive means most things will not be able to block this card, so it triggers Plunder very easily, and it's a nice aggressive 1-drop. The problem being that it's very easy to kill with only 1 health. And the next card is 2 copies of Boom Crew Rookie, a 2-cost 1/3. Whenever it attacks, it deals 2 to the enemy nexus. Unless your opponent denies this trigger, that means guaranteed plunder off just attacking with this creature, which is the big reason for having it, is that it does that, and it's just really aggressive, so it's going to put your opponent on a very quick clock, and your opponent's going to try to deal with this Boom Crew, because otherwise they'll lose too much health too quickly to it. Finally in the package we have 1 copy of Submersible, a 5-cost 1/5 elusive, and when you play it you draw 1 card, and if you've cast 10 unique cards when played, it'll get +4/+0. This is basically another way to have a similar payoff to Pursuits. This one's obviously easier to hit since it's only 10 rather than 20, but since our deck is doing that already, this is just a great elusive unit that should be able to trigger Plunder often, that'll also be pretty sizable just because of what our deck does. Finally, we have the utility package. This is just a combination of card draw, removal, etc. that just synergizes with the deck and is set up to enable other aspects of how the deck plays. First off, we have 1 copy of Thermogenic Beam, a 0-cost slow spell. It uses up all the mana you have and then deals damage to a unit equal to however much mana went into it. This is just a clean answer to any size threat. There's certain things that will grow past your mana pool, but in most cases, this is just a clean answer to any big creatures your opponent plays. Stuff like Garens and all that have so much health that typical Piltover removal won't deal with it. This will deal with it. Next, we have 1 copy of Pool Shark, a 1-cost 1/2. And when you play it, you'll draw 1 fleeting card the next round, meaning you'll only be around for that round. It's a nice early blocker. It can be pretty aggressive. Your opponent often won't block it since it's only 1 point of damage, so it can trigger Plunder quite often. It's card draw, so it'll dig you closer to Pursuit. It's just a overall great 1-drop. The next card is 2 copies of Rummage, a 1-cost burst spell. You discard 2 cards and then draw 2 cards. The idea is if you haven't found your Pursuit, this will help you get to it. And it can often convert useless cards into good cards. If you've, say, drawn a bunch of your opponent's cards and they're really not doing anything for you, you can pitch them to Rummage in order to draw 2 of your own cards. As well as there's a bunch of things that generate cards, like if you don't need Plunder, Warning Shot's not that great, and Mushroom Cloud can be an easy thing to pitch to draw more cards. There's just a lot of ways to benefit from using Rummage. The next card is 1 copy of Gotcha, a 4-cost fast spell, deal 3 damage to a unit, and the turn it's drawn, it costs 2 less. So if you draw it this turn, it would be a 2 mana deal 3 damage rather than a 4 mana. But then if you don't cast it this turn, the next turn it will be back to 4 mana. It's just a low-cost, powerful removal. 3 damage can deal with a lot of big threats or a lot of important threats from your opponent. So being able to do that for only 2 mana is super good, and we don't really want to run something like, say, Get Excited that makes us discard a card, since card advantage is pretty important to try and pull off Pursuit. The next card is 2 copies of Salvage, a 4-cost burst spell, where you toss 2 cards, then draw 2 cards. This is just to keep cycling through your deck to try and find Pursuit. We don't really benefit from the toss, but it doesn't hurt us that much either. It's just to keep pulling through your deck as fast as you can, and the 4 cost makes it very easy to use. The next card is 1 copy of Static Shock, a 4-cost fast spell. Deals 1 to any 2 targets. So you can hit like a unit and their nexus, or 2 units, but it has to be an enemy unit or nexus. You can't hit your own stuff. And so it deals 1 damage to them, and then draws a card. So it's basically just a way to not go down in card advantage, since Static Shock replaces itself, and you can deal with really go wide decks that have weak creatures like spiders, for example. You can kill 2 spiders with this and also draw a card. It's just another good catch-all removal that also draws you cards, and you can target your opponent's nexus to trigger Plunder if need be. The next card is 1 copy of Zap Sprayfin, a 4-cost 2/2 with a tune and elusive. And when you play Zap, you'll draw a 3-cost or less spell from your deck. This is just another great way to keep your card advantage going. It replaces itself with a 3-cost spell. and it can be pretty good at triggering Plunder since it's elusive. The next card is one copy of Citrus Courier, a 6-cost 4/5, and if you've triggered Plunder when you play it, it'll heal all of your allies plus your Nexus 3, and then it will rally. The big idea behind this one copy of Citrus Courier is that a huge counter to our deck is things like Ruination after playing a bunch of things, or Will of Ionia. The big threat, like what we're really scared of here, is Will of Ionia bouncing our Catastrophe in combat to our hand, and we'll be able to play it again because it's 1 mana, but if our opponent's given one more turn, there's a good chance we won't be able to beat them. So this will allow us to rally if we've triggered Plunder, and swing a second time with Catastrophe if they've bounced it to our hand. Finally, the last card is one copy of Progress Day, an 8-cost burst spell that draws 3 cards. This is just to keep cycling through our deck and to refill our hand if we ever hit empty. So as you can see, a lot of cards in the deck there's 1 to 2 copies of. The problem with Pursuit is that it's so hard to hit 20 unique cards, even with all these ways to artificially inflate the number of cards in your deck by, say, drawing your opponent's cards or creating cards in hand. Despite all of that, it's still very hard to hit 20 cards, so we can't have ultimate consistency. This is why instead of, say, 3 Crackshot Corsairs or 3 Prowling Cutthroats, we have 1 Corsair, 1 Cutthroat, 1 Pool Shark, because we need to have a bunch of different unique cards to hit these things. So in many cases we have a number of cards that fulfill the same role, but just are a different names, so they'll count towards Pursuit separately. And this is also why all of our removal is basically one-ofs, like 1 Gotcha, 1 Thermogenic, 1 Static Shock. We're not trying to have too much consistency in our removal, we're just trying to have a bunch of silver bullets that can catch a lot of things, while having consistent card draw to get to all of them if we need them. Alright, so let's see how the deck performs. Alright, looks like some Tempo Sejuani, so this ought to be interesting. Testing the deck against a meta deck. And we'll see if we can hit him with a Catastrophe. Not bad, not great. I don't want this Rummage. Twisted Fate is 2 cards for 1, so it's hard to pass on that, and Pilfered Goods is arguably the best card in the deck. Coral Creatures is debatable, but I think we might need the early drop. And it does create another card. Riptide Rex is about the worst thing we could have gotten there. Second Twisted Fate is also pretty bad. Not the ideal start, but we'll see how this goes. Oh, well, there's a Pursuit, so at least we know we'll have it. Alright, let's see if we can get in some damage. Seems unlikely if he's doing that, unless he's about to Pilfer Goods. Yeah, I think we're gonna swing here. Yeah, I didn't think he was willing to take the block with Black Market Merchant. And if he did, it set us up for Twisted Fate dealing 1 to all, killing it. Alright, well, let's see what we find. Ooh, Warning Shot to trigger Plunder, and Omen Hawk. Omen Hawk should be decent. Yeah, this is not too bad, not too bad. Oh, there's our Donger, so that's pretty good. Man, this is going to be a super fast Sejuani level up, though. That's pretty bad for us.
Don't ask where it's from. Ask how much.
This is definitely getting dicey. That's a lot of things that we didn't want to see. Alright, we're going to throw some mushrooms in the opponent's deck. Get us up to another Pursuit trigger. So, only 16 more to go. If we get Pursuit of Perfection by our opponent, that's going to be pretty funny. Because it's very possible for him to have done that. Yep, of course he got our Warning Shot. That's rough. Kinda wanted that. Yeah, Gotcha can't deal with both of these, though. Alright, we're just gonna play Twist of Fate, and we're gonna deal with 1 damage to everything.
Never lost a fair fight, or played one.
This is mostly just to deal with the Prowling Cutthroat. Ah, he does have Elixir. Alright.
Who says I don't share?
That must have been created off coral creatures.
We
I mean, it's
see
possible
through
they has
all.
it in the deck normally, but unlikely. Yeah, this could get sketchy for us very quickly. Alright, we're halfway to Submersible at least. I think we're okay with that.
An auspicious season.
Question is what we're doing instead. We might try running out this Heimerdinger if we can get there. If we're reasonably certain that Heimerdinger will live,
This would be a
we'll
good
wanna run him out.
Let fury spill from the sky.
Wow, what is this guy's deck? This is a very, very spicy brew
Open
of
wide.
this.
Lightning flows.
Alright, that's not too surprising. We'll throw an Omen Hawk away. Yeah, this is definitely getting sketchy. Extremely sketchy. Alright, we're just gonna run this Heimerdinger out.
Seems to be the problem.
That's gonna be the quickest way to get to Catastrophe or Submersible. That's a way to do it. Decisions. We kind of want to keep this gotcha available, but I don't think there's a world in which that works. So we're just gonna play Twisted Fate and try to kill as many things as we can here. And this will still get the Stormclaw Ursine within gotcha range if he doesn't
Something for
buff its
all.
toughness. Okay, interesting. Little sketchy. That's a lot of damage there, but yeah, we're gonna block as much of that as we can. I think we'll block here in case it lives. That's problematic.
Season.
I think that might be game. Yep, and there it is. Alright, let's see how Purrsuit does against what I'm presuming is Mono Shadow Isle Ephemeral aggro. Could be more mid-rangey, but definitely a spicy deck. Alright, definitely do not want Riptide Rex. Twisted Fate could actually be pretty good here, so we'll keep him, and we'll keep the Coral Creatures for an early drop. Ah, there we go. That's perfect. This makes a nice curve.
I never miss.
And she'll help turn on this pilfered goods no matter what happens.
That egg.
Definitely not attacking. We do not want to lose our Crackshot Corsair, because Coral Creatures should do really well at enabling Crackshot. That is definitely what we're going for here. If we bank this mana, we can do double Pilfered Goods next turn, potentially. Alright, well, not when that happens. Yeah, that definitely ruined all of our plans, so that sucks, but... Alright, we'll go for summoning random one cost. Alright, that's not the worst. Drawing cards not bad. So we're just gonna go straight to combat and swing with both of them. Ah, he's gonna let us get the plunder anyway. Perfect. Oh, we might actually steal a card from his hand instead. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's see what he's got. Get a better idea of what we're working with. Atrocity. Okay, so, yep, this is definitely not a control deck. It's got something, there's some sort of plan going there. For better or for worse. We're gonna run out this Chump Bump. I wanna save Twisted Fate for a turn that I can enable Plunder. Well, use him to enable Plunder, I should say. But we are gonna just go straight to combat here. Hopefully get some damage through. Alright, perfect. Now I can do double Pilfered Goods. Although, I don't really have enough room in my hand for that, so we'll probably just do the one. Alright, interesting. I think we'll run out
Danger pays.
Doll Hunters. We're gonna lose a card here, but yeah, that's fine. I didn't need that Twist of Fate. Yep, this is definitely the part where we stun him.
Never lost a fair game.
We definitely do not want Hecarim attacking.
Only partner.
And then we'll probably throw Mushroom Cloud out. Just to empty our hand a little bit better. We almost have Submersible turned on. Haunted Relic. I'm still totally okay with the fact that we stunned instead of doing board wipe. This is essentially a 6 damage swing because of Neverglade. But on the next turn, we can use Jaw Hunters to kill the Neverglade, or to kill Hecarim. Maybe because this Darkwater Scourge will actually just kill the Hecarim. Yeah, we're just gonna go straight to combat. They'll probably run out this Heimerdinger plus Pilfer Kids. Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, we're fine with Twist of Fate dying here. I didn't expect him to do that, though. That's surprising.
Better than eating. One candle.
That is a little concerning. So I could kill Hecarim. I think that's probably the right choice, but yeah, we'll just kill Hecarim. I would love to cast this Vengeance while Heimerdinger's out, but that's a little too greedy. This Neverglade is definitely starting to take a toll, though. Ooh, perfect. That's the way to deal with it. Yeah, now I think I have to run out this Darkwater Scourge. We're really missing out on a lot of Heimerdinger value here, but we kind of have to be on the defensive here.
From me?
I guess we'll play the Beast Below. Put out another blocker, and then we still have Gotcha to deal with Neverglade. Which we are going to go for now. And if he doesn't swing, that's also perfectly good for us, so probably going to run out this Submersible.
Feast on the dead.
Alright, that's fine. So far, so good. Play Submersible, draw a card. Get the buff. Oh yeah, now I was considering salvage, but alright, that is terrifying, but has a funny voice line. Alright, well, let's steal some cards from our opponent. Vengeance, that's not bad, that's not bad. And we'll steal some more cards from our opponent.
You weren't using it.
Ruination would be good. I'm not sure we're gonna have the time for it, though. This Vengeance is definitely a great find, though.
I gotta get out of here. That light triggers.
Okay, so we can block here, block there, block here, block there. I think this is what we're good with. We're fine losing Submersible here. It's our reliable way to trigger Plunder, but killing this Hecarim's pretty much our #1 goal. And then we'll run out this Heimerdinger.
Answers, I have them.
Let's play Coral Creatures.
So pretty.
And now we can salvage. Rummage is actually a pretty good find. This Ruination's probably never getting cast, so we probably pitch that to Rummage. Just because, in general, we don't want to put this Ledros back into his hand unless we have to. There's our Pursuit. Ooh, we are very close, too.
And fire!
Yeah, we're probably set up for a Catastrophe next turn. 10 mana. Unfortunately, we can't do Catastrophe and Atrocity in one turn, so that's disappointing. But we'll pitch Ruination and Mushroom Cloud,
Too many ideas.
and that
Not enough
should
hands.
get us there. And we'll play this.
Just when I needed assistance.
Now the problem is, I should have realized this beforehand, is that I'm not going to be able to summon Catastrophe here. So I think we can like this, and hopefully he kills one of them. Okay, that's good. That's what we're looking for. He could have Atrocity and we're just dead, but... Alright, well, we're gonna go for it. See if he has the Atrocity. Doesn't seem like it. And yeah, sure, we'll take another blocker. That can block Fearsome. Ugh, he has Ruination? That's unlucky. Yikes. What do we even want to do about that? Yeah, I guess we'll... did we actually hit our opponent this turn? No, we didn't. Yeah, so we'll salvage in response, I guess. Well, that was a little bit brutal. So that Undying threatens lethal without blockers, but we have blockers. Maybe that wasn't the right spell.
They're out there.
Kind of forgot that I wasn't going to get my second turret out of it. Alright, yeah, this is pretty much as doomed as it could be at this point. Well, we can block one. We'll see if he runs out the Ledros. So I can play this plus Vengeance. We're almost certainly dead here, though. Wait, okay, alright. So, Haunted Relic. Then we can block Ledros, kill Scuttlegeist.
Still see the job done. In Avarosa's name.
Weird choice. Weird choice. But okay.
Alert the village.
What do we want to do here? Guess we're gonna play
Safety
Grifter.
will cost you.
Oh god. I forgot about the puff caps. That's terrifying. Yeah, we'll play
Eminently
Dogger.
logical.
Two puff caps left in his deck. We want to do that. Alright, we're just gonna heal. before things get too out of hand here. The question is, do we want to do that while he has puff caps in his deck? Now we're gonna go for it. Alright, that's a pretty decent find. We might steal more cards. Unless we die to Atrocity here. Yep. GG. He had the Ruination. Nothing we can do about it. Alright, well, meta deck here with Vimer control. We'll see how Pursuits can do against it. We'll be lucky if we can even get a Catastrophe, but we'll see what we can do. I think we actually do keep Heimerdinger here. We definitely keep the aggro package here. I'm gonna keep the Heimerdinger because that is absolutely god-awful luck right there. We want to keep the Heimerdinger because it's one of our best ways to turn on Pursuit.
Before they know they're bleeding.
Really unlucky mulligan though.
You won't feel it.
We're gonna see how far we can get with just this small package though. A lot of direct damage here though. It probably won't be able to deal with both of them right away.
I can do this.
Jaw Hunter's not that bad.
Open wide. Sure.
We're gonna go straight to combat though. Get that damage through. We may actually play Jaw Hunters just to get the sea monster in hand and get closer to our pursuit. Even though it won't be swinging this turn. Wow. Oh wow. Alright, that's not bad. Burn 2 pieces of removal, although one of them is a cantrip, so he does get his cards back, but yeah, I think we're just gonna run this out to get the sea monster in hand. Ooh, Abyssali's not awful. Ooh, Grifter's good.
Alone.
Probably will play Grifter. No, nah, he gave us a window to kill this, so we'll just kill it. Probably next turn we run out the Abyssali. Or one of the 4 costs. I think we're gonna run out Eye though. I'm assuming it's gonna die here. But chances are to kill this, he leaves himself vulnerable to the 4 damage. Alright.
Set the hooks.
I assume Abyssali is going to die. Wow! Alright. Perfect. Just get to draw more cards. Unfortunately can't pay off this Pilfered Goods yet, but we do have Yordle Grifter, so it shouldn't be too hard. Oh, now we're definitely setting up a black market.
I have them.
Oof. Unfortunately, we can't deal with this Heimerdinger at the moment. Do we answer with a Heimerdinger of our own? I don't think so.
Yeah, you don't want to cross me.
Alright, well, we don't have allegiance. Ugh, yep, this is gonna get scary quick.
Round and round it goes.
Not ideal. Not ideal, that's for sure. We may actually try to run out our own Heimerdinger before firing off our plunder package, but that definitely is risky. But if it works, we'll get 2 turrets out of it. Wow! That's a heavy investment just to kill that. We will absolutely block that turret if he swings with it. Okay, I didn't think he would. Alright, so we're gonna lead on this Heimerdinger. It's a little bit risky, but the payoff will be pretty huge, and we'll at minimum get 1 turret out of it. So that's at least 2 towards Pursuit of Perfection. Wow! Really? Alright, well. Now the question is whether we go for another turret doing Pilfered Goods. I think it's much better for us to do Black Market Merchant and then Pilfered Goods, so.
My selection speaks for itself. Unbreakable
sketchy. Play that. We could kill... Well, can't kill that much. Alright, we'll just steal more cards from him.
You brought something.
Not bad. Deny could be pretty good. Yeah, we're not going to combat here, though. It's too risky. Well, we can definitely kill Heimerdinger. The question is whether it's worth. Interesting. He's just going for
breaking invention to date.
Guess he's just going for max damage? So we definitely... Our big concern here is dying to whatever he's got going on. It's not lethal yet, though. So with this flash of brilliance in hand,
and projected lights,
I think it's right to run him out here. Ironically, we'd almost be happier if all of these were costing normal amounts. Yeah, we're fine with that damage. Let's see what we can get. Ooh, Unlicensed Innovation is actually pretty good.
Sturdy construction.
Pursuits is up to 13. Do we want to go for anything else here? We could try to kill his Heimerdinger, though ours might die in response. You know what? I think we do go for it. Because I don't think he can kill our Heimerdinger and save his, so... Alright. Well, he saved his. But we still get a decent turret out of this.
And fire! And fire!
Alright, we're 5 away from Pursuit. Yeah, this is crazy, but I think we're actually gonna go
We know the value of coin.
all out here. Yeah, we'll see if he's willing to trade all that. Or if he has enough ways to kill it. We're really just trying to trigger Plunder here, because there's a number of things we can pull off of with Plunder, so... Alright. There is a good chance we run out Riptide Rex here. I would love to play this Black Market Merchant, but Riptide Rex should clear most of his board, and even with a deny, although we know we have one of them, it's going to be very hard for him to really do anything about Riptide Rex. That's the problem, is it's so many triggers that usually there's not much, if anything, they can do about it. So we're probably just going to go for that. Their health total is pretty low, but so is ours. It's going to bounce Heimerdinger. Well, that's something we're fine with. Yeah, we'll just run this out.
Not yet! Good to go!
Alright, well that does kill all of his flyers. It does nothing to Heimerdinger, unfortunately, but dealing with all of his flyers is pretty good.
Yes, yes, again!
Alright, well. What else has he got? Another bounce spell. That's fine, because we can still kill this. One of them's not lethal. He needs to hit with both. Alright, well, we'll go for it. I don't want this pool shark, so we'll go for this. See what he's got. I mean, one burn spell kills us, but... Decisions. That's the part that we're at. I think we run Chump Lump out.
ways to find me mushrooms.
Because Mushroom Cloud gets us another cast. Right. We're fine with that.
Round and round it goes.
I think we're just gonna throw as many puff caps into his deck as possible. So that was 2 Will of Ionias he used, so he could only have 1 left.
Zon will be mine.
Yep, that's something we do have to deny. Because that will almost certainly kill us. The trigger alone will almost certainly kill us. 10 mana. I think that... Oh, there we go. I mean, we're super vulnerable right now. 1 burn spell kills us, or another Karina. That's very likely to find. Alright, we're gonna go for this. We'll see what happens. He could have a deny. This is the big money, no whammies moment. Burn spell, deny. Another Will of Ionia. Key Guardian, alright, he's trying to cycle for deny or Will of Ionia. Alright. Find out if he has the will. Or the burn spell. He's still digging. That's good for us. Wow! We got there! Against Vimer Control. The odds of that were not high. But we got there. Didn't get to hit him, but he knew what was coming. We'll take it. Alright, looks like we're playing against maybe Prankster Burn or Karina Control. Without the Vi. This doesn't look like necessarily a great submersible hand or matchup. I don't think Citrus Courier is something we're always fine just drawing into it later. We don't really want it in our opening hand ever. I think I might keep the Grifter though. And Coral Creatures is a pretty nice early drop that should help us get to Pursuit with the random cards. So that was not the kind of cards I wanted to draw there. This is way too much redundancy here. Nice symmetrical hand here, but this is about as bad as it could be. Alright, I'm definitely thinking Prankster Burn now. That definitely looks much more like Prankster Burn than anything else.
First big mission.
Well, now he can't swing with the Bark Beast.
There's another one.
Ooh, Rummage is actually pretty good. With the redundancy now, I can turn those into new cards.
Why are you here?
Better run.
Now, the question is whether I do that. How liable is he to block? I think I'm just gonna swing.
Quickly.
Let's see if I can get a Plunder trigger here. And if not, if he blocks and kills this, I can always play another one to block. And then he can't swing with Boom Crew without losing it. That's one of the worst case scenarios, but that's not too bad. We'll play another Coral Creatures. See what it gives us. Can't really kill anything of his this turn. Maybe I do just salvage then. Well, here we'll do a rummage. We'll pitch one of our rummages and one of our grifters. And now we have 3 mana left, so it's full banked. Yeah, I don't think any of these are things I want to run out yet. We definitely want to hold the Black Market Merchant until we have a Plunder triggered. This Grifter is going to make that a lot easier to pull off. Definitely looks like Prankster Burn, or some variant of it. Bark Beast isn't really a Prankster Burn piece, but at post Rising Tide, Prankster Burn might be a bit different, a little more Endure style. I would not be surprised if my opponent plays the They Who Endure at some point here, because that's what Bark Beast tells me.
I know what lurks in the
All right, well that's fine. We can block that with a Grifter. So
I'm not greedy. My friends.
Just gonna put this here. Light the fuse.
interesting. Interesting.
Hush now.
Alright, so the Bark Beast will get bigger. So So we're definitely gonna kill
I
Elise.
made choices.
Now the question is if we want to block Bark Beast to take less damage, or block something else that's gonna be a bit more effective for us. I think we're gonna block
No
Bark
outside.
Beast. Yeah, I think we need to save our health here. Unfortunate that we didn't hit Allegiance off the Grifter. We could have used more cards, but... Ah, he is going to kill it. Alright. Well, we burned more cards out of his hand.
Time to go.
Fading Memories. What is he playing? Yeah, actually, that was terrible on his part. Why did he do that? Now he loses the Bark Beast. Like, I was in a much worse position if that at least died there. As funny as that is. Like, he actually helped me out there.
Don't ask where.
We're just gonna start ripping cards out of his hand. Or out of his deck. Ooh, that is a great find. That's always the feels bad, is when you're playing a deck like this, or like Endure, and your opponent steals your Neverglade. I think we're gonna steal another card from his hand. Let's just take it all. Then we'll play another blocker. Oh, wow. Huh. Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. You know what? I'm actually gonna play him this turn. Arguably he'd be better next turn because of I could play Neverglade Collector and then him, and I gain more life off these. But I want to kill this Elise before it attacks again, and I can kill it with Use Cast Salesman. They'll trade, but it's a decent trade.
Hands off the merch.
We're getting a little bit low here, but I think overall that was an okay play. We just didn't want another Spiderling off the Elise. Okay, very convenient for us that he didn't attack there. Now we get to play our Neverglade. Our quote-unquote Neverglade. Doing some real thinking. He's only down to one last card, so this is actually pretty solid for us. The question here is whether we block this Boom Crew. I think we are in the category of blocking everything that we can. I think we're more willing to lose Black Market Merchant than we are willing to lose this Neverglade, so we don't really have any other plunder packages here. Play Heimerdinger next turn with 3 banked mana, but nothing I can cast off that. What are we at? 9? 9's not ideal. I think we're gonna play Chumpwump, maybe? Yeah, we'll play Chumpwump first.
I'm still like a yodel in uniform.
And then we're gonna play Boom Crew. We're just trying to play a bunch of blockers now. We're going to cast these Mushroom Clouds so we have a chance of triggering Plunder. So we're going to cast at least the one. Okay. The most scary thing he could have done there was, ooh, and we got it! Do we go for Riptide Rex? Because if it targets Neverglade, we're in great shape. If it doesn't, we're in trouble. If I play Heimerdinger, I can cast Salvage plus Mushroom Cloud. We're gonna play Donger.
My first big mission.
Yeah, those are 2 cards I would have liked, but Prowling Cutthroat's not bad. Put some more mushrooms in their deck. Wrenchbot's actually pretty good here because it'll die to anything he swings with, so we'll get Drain off Neverglade. We're actually at the point that the more things of ours that die, the better. So I think we might actually have to block with things that will die. This is dicey. We have to hope he doesn't have Atrocity final card. Or like a pump spell.
I hope this works.
Yeah, this is getting real sketchy. still not that close to Pursuit. Oh, there it is. Yep, we tried. Best we could do. And on to the next. Hopefully next time we can get there. Alright, Spooky Karma. This ought to be an interesting one. Control matchups are about the worst matchup we could play against, and this is definitely the worst. Vengeance plus Ruination plus Will of Ionia plus Deny means Pursuit of Perfection is extraordinarily unlikely to go off, but we'll see if we can get there. It's not impossible, just incredibly unlikely. Alright, well, not quite off to the races, but could be a lot worse than this. Could counterfeit copy something like Heimerdinger. Or we just pitch this to Rummage, that's always possible too. Alright, guess we're just gonna pass. No real benefit to swinging here. On the bright side, their life gain is pretty irrelevant for us.
No outsiders.
Because our win condition is a 30-30 with trample, so it's pretty impossible for them to gain enough life to not die to that. So we're not too worried about that. Ooh, Parley's actually not bad. I think I'm gonna Rummage now, and I'm probably gonna pitch this Progress Day plus counterfeit copies. Those aren't bad. I think I'll go straight to combat and not play the Zap Sprayfin first. Because I think he's unlikely to actually fight over both of these. But he might. Well, I guess he will. That's fine. We'll use Parlay to kill the spider. Hopefully hits our opponent as well. I guess that's not going to happen, but whatever. He lost his stuff. Now we'll run out of spray.
What's the water like down there, guys?
Pilfered goods. That'll be good if we ever manage to hit our opponent. Let's see what he goes for. Ooh, there we go. That's a payoff and a half. I don't think running Heimerdinger out's good here, so we'll just pass. Play his Twisted Fate. Play Twisted Fate. We'll red card to get our trigger. We're actually at the part that leveling him up would be pretty easy with Black Market Merchant and Pilfered Goods and Salvage and Sleight of Hand, but I don't think that's something we can count on. So I think it would be overall pretty foolish for me to hope to achieve that. There's no way Ruination's here, so I wonder what he's thinking about. Maybe a Grasp of the Undying? But that doesn't do much. It kills Twisted Fate, but he only gains 1 life. And I already got my Plunder trigger, which is what I really cared about. Interesting. Very weird. Is he down? Was that his last one? That was. Alright, well, no Vile Feast. Wow! Perfect. That is about as ideal as we could have ever hoped for. Now let's start ripping apart his deck. Ruination's not that great. I could steal some from his hand, but I think Pilfered Goods is way better. Oh, perfect. Yeah, these are some good finds. Decent at the very least.
Where are you?
And taking one of his Ruination is pretty big. He probably only has 2 in the deck. Thresh, interesting.
Safety will cost you.
Ooh, that's another good find. Very, very curious choice. He's gonna leave me Black Market Merchant? Are you nuts? Alright, well, we'll hit him. And steal a card from his hand. See if he has a kill spell for Black Market Merchant, or this is gonna be discounted too.
I made it myself.
Wow, I can't believe that. We've gotten so many good cards out of his hand. I don't even... Oh, wow. Alright. This is going amazing. I might play Rekindler, get back Twisted Fate. Problem is, playing him's the real benefit. Really want to get a plunder trigger for the second black market merchant. That would be ideal. So I guess we're gonna play Shadow Assassin.
Dark beckons.
See if he can answer that. This is our most reliable plunder trigger in hand here.
Falls.
Guess we also swing with Grifter.
Huh?
Just trying to kill a couple of his creatures here. If we can't hit him for plunder, we just want to do... Okay, perfect. And we're really not worried about healing on his part.
Don't ask where it's from. Ask how much.
Wow. That's super cheap vengeance. I think we're going to play this Chump Wump. Because we really want mushrooms in our opponent's deck for plunder. Ah, yep. Alright. That's fine. Sucks that we lose the one black market merchant, but I mean... We kind of knew that was coming. We knew it wasn't going to last forever. I suppose I could run out this Heimerdinger pretty quickly. Oh, I have to kill this Thresh now, don't I? So it doesn't level up. No, I'm fine taking 2 damage. Let's see if we can kill this Thresh. Perfect. He was so close to leveling up, so we definitely did not want that to happen. I guess we'll run Coral Creatures out first, before the Boom Crew. In case our opponent has the board wipe. Now the question is, well, I mean, he only has 1 Ruination left in deck. So if he has it, but that's fine. Alright, well, we got our plunder trigger anyways.
Just gonna put this here.
Yeah, that's fine.
I hope this works. What's that noise?
It's not a Karma. Do we play Heimerdinger, or do we play something else? I think we'll play the Heimerdinger.
Ah, the sweet smell
He
of
could play
silence.
Karma now, and that will cause problems for us, but we'll live with that. So we'll play one of these turrets.
Just when I needed assistance.
I feel like we're in good shape for Purrsuit when we find it. We've cast a lot of things. Well, Gotcha plus Withering Wail does kill Karma.
The answer lies within.
And I think we are gonna go for that. We don't want to show both, because he might be more likely to fight over it if he knows the kill is coming. Let's see what he does. I mean, that's fine. We're okay with that. Ooh, and he lost to Deny. Perfect. Now we can start playing these turrets. This one's probably better than Drifter at this point. This is obviously better than Wrench Bot. We'll make another Fearsome Turret, though. Aw. Like the best cards in the deck. Oh, man. If only I could cast that right now. Ugh. How greedy. I mean, we came here to play it. We did come here to play it. So we're gonna have to play it. Pitch Jettison. Pitch this.
Too many ideas, not enough hands.
Let's check. So he tossed Deny and Miscall. Where else did he toss? He didn't toss the other Ruination, did he? Yeah, we can't see that toss. That's unfortunate. We would have liked to know if we had it or not. Alright, we'll sack this guy because he's not going to attack anyways. I mean, he's down at Deny. That's the one nice part. Wait. Citrus Courier lets me swing and cast it. That was the single best card I could have pulled off the top there.
I concur.
He can live through this attack by blocking the Heimerdinger and the Black Market Merchants. We're not guaranteed to kill him. That works. That works.
Time to go.
And then we can play Citrus Courier. So my biggest concern about playing Citrus Courier... Oh! Okay. He had the Ruination. Two unknowns. What is the chance that one of them is the Deny? This is what Citrus Courier is in the deck for. Oh! Did we get there? Yep, we did it. I don't think I'll ever get to hit an opponent with it, but we got there. And that is exactly what Citrus Courier is in the deck for. It's in it for moments like that, or if our opponent has Will of Ionia and bounces the Catastrophe in combat, we can play Citrus Courier and swing through. That was exactly what the one of Citrus Courier is for, and it worked perfectly. Alright, so in summary, the deck actually performed a bit better than I expected. So we were able to cast Pursuit successfully in 3 of our games, and we overall went 2 and 3 in our matches. I actually played a 6th game against Indur Tokens, but I ended up cutting it from the video because it was a pretty one-sided. We got a really slow start to the hand. They got an extremely fast start, and so basically nothing happened. We just got steamrolled, and it wasn't that fun to watch. So I excluded that, so overall it was 2 and 4, which isn't a great win rate, but 33% still not that bad, and we did successfully cast Pursuit 3 times. Unfortunately, they had Ruination once. But the most surprising fact is that the games we won were against Spooky Karma and Weimar Control, which were 2 of the worst matchups I predicted for the deck. Ionia is really brutal for this kind of deck because they can Will of Ionia your Catastrophe once you go to combat, which is the whole reason I included the one of Citrus Courier in the deck, was because of how much I was worried about Will of Ionia effects. Or they could just deny Pursuit and prevent you from getting Catastrophe in the first place. But we ended up winning both those matches. Spooky Karma is even the worst matchup because they have Vengeance and Ruination in addition to having Will of Ionia and Deny. So it's really astounding that we were able to pull it through in that game, but yeah, surprisingly effective. A little sad we lost to the Shadow Isles control deck, that they happened to be slow rolling the Atrocity that whole time, but, you know, those are the beats, it happens. We pulled one of their Atrocities, we were hoping that was enough, but that deck probably, with that many Ledroses, ran a full play set of 3, so they were extremely likely to get it eventually. But yeah, surprisingly we did well against some very meta decks. and then lost to some meta decks and an extremely off-meta Shadow Isles mid-range deck / control. Overall, pretty happy with it. Pursuits is a very hard deck to pull off, so I never expected to have a positive win rate with it, since you have to make your deck fairly inconsistent, but also consistent. It's really weird how it works, but that's why we have the over reliance on things like Black Market Merchant, Pilfered Goods, and Coral Creatures that will reliably give us new cards to cast. The original version of this deck that I made pre-Rising Tides was Piltover Zaun in Ionia, and it used things like Karma and Heimerdinger and Flash of Brilliance to create random cards in hand, or in Heimer's case, not random, but specific turrets and a lot of different ones, and used that to flesh out the deck with additional cards so that we could have a level of consistency while still being able to play 20 cards. But it was a lot harder to reach 20, and you ended up running out of cards a lot. So when Bilgewater came out, I figured that might be the best shell for the deck, and I would definitely agree now, having played it. I tried both again post Rising Tide. I messed around with both of them, and the Bilgewater deck was way more consistent, way more powerful, way more likely to win. The fact is, the Yoink mechanics of stealing your opponent's cards is just so good for getting to Pursuit's 20 count, and it's an incredible amount of card advantage. Whereas the Ionia deck would constantly run out of cards, although Deep Meditations has made that better. A better version of the deck than the original pre-Rising Tide version I built. But just drawing, like, Pilfered Goods is 2 cards out of your opponent's deck, and then Black Market Merchant draws a card out of your opponent's deck. Like, all of these cards replace themselves and draw more. So it's just extremely, extremely good region to facilitate Pursuit. The downside being that you don't have Deny that Ionia has to protect your combo. So Catastrophe is a little more guaranteed lethal once you resolve it in PZI, because you can use Deny to protect it. But Bilgewater makes it happen faster, and it's way more aggressive. So you're going to very consistently have your Pursuit get up to 16 or more cards cast. Submersible is turned on very easily with this deck. So definitely recommend this deck if you're looking for a really fun deck. It's not the most competitive for sure, but every game you win will feel so good. There's just nothing quite like resolving a 30-30 with Overwhelm and hitting your opponent with it. Although, that said, you'll almost never get to hit your opponent, as basically everyone will surrender once they know you have them. But yeah, I hope you like this deck. Thank you for checking it out. I'd love to hear any comments, feedback on this deck, this show, other shows I've done, what you like, what you don't like. Just anything that can help me improve future videos. Stiff Brew is definitely one of my favorites, and I'm really looking forward to continuing it on. Got a couple ideas for the next one. Well, a long list of various ideas to try for Stiff Brew, but I had to do Pursuit. It's basically the penultimate Stiff Brew card. It was originally going to be the first deck I did for Stiff Brew, but the Legion Marauder deck was just so much fun to play, and I hadn't really settled on whether I wanted to go Bilgewater or Ionia for the Pursuit deck. So, hope you like it. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.